In election 2016, Republican Donald Trump and Democrat Hillary Clinton cementing their status as presidential frontrunners. Their wins in the South Carolina primary and Nevada caucuses put tremendous pressure on their top rivals as the nominating contests head into March. Trump's strong performance among self-described evangelical conservatives in South Carolina helped him notch another double-digit victory. It was a blow to Ted Cruz, who's invested heavily in his pursuit of religious conservatives. He finished a narrow third behind Marco Rubio. This morning, both Rubio and Cruz battled to emerge as the true alternative to Trump. For Democrats, Clinton's Nevada victory over Bernie Sanders affirmed her strength among non-white voters who will also play a key role in upcoming primaries. Clinton savoring her weekend win, but she acknowledges she has work to do in persuading voters that she has their best interests at heart. We'll get to that and other issues because Rick Mullaney, head of the Jacksonville University Public Policy Institute, back here on The Morning Show. Good to have you here.
Great to be here.
So those were some of the big headlines. Another thing not to be ignored is the fact that Jeb Bush decided he didn't have enough support to continue. He suspended his presidential campaign. Is this the end of the Bush dynasty?
Well, for Jeb Bush, very gracious speech. But there are a lot of family members coming up. Great family, great history. I believe he was an outstanding governor. And if you would have said back on June 15th that you would, 8 months later, this would have been the fate, I think you'd have been stunned. So in answer to your question, I think there are a lot of younger Bushes still out there. That remains to be seen, but a very dramatic end of the campaign for Jeb Bush.
Let's talk about Donald Trump. His campaign is short on substance, long on bravado, and people question whether or not he has what it takes to be a leader. He says he has the leadership skills of any president. Does he?
Well, let's talk about what's driving his campaign. It's really not about policy, and it's not about ideology. It's his personality combined with the notion, the frustration that the public has with Washington, this idea that he's beyond the reach of money, and this idea that he's strong. And he certainly has been a leader in business. Does that mean you can be a leader as President of the United States? I tend to go where what Jeb Bush said in his concession speech, that policy and ideas do matter, particularly on foreign policy. I think that Mr. Trump would find that the White House is a very different place from Trump Tower, and that it is very, very difficult to govern as president as opposed to running a business. So that remains to be seen, but I think those are two different worlds.
That said, we have to question whether or not Trump is unstoppable at this point. The numbers show, at least where the election process is now, that he seems to be. We've got Super Tuesday coming up, 600 delegates at stake. That could all change. What did Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio have to do?
Well, for Marco Rubio, one of the things he needs to do is he somehow persuade John Kasich to get out of this race. If both John Kasich and Marco Rubio are in this race come March 15th, when Ohio and Florida are winner take all, good news for Donald Trump. Probably the end for the establishment lane. Marco Rubio had a big night in South Carolina. Make no mistake about it. Coming in second, big endorsements. Governor Bush dropping out with a lot of that money and support flowing his way. That's a problem. So that was very positive for him. For Ted Cruz, Super Tuesday is a big deal. The southern states, conservative, the map, that's where he wants to be. South Carolina, as you mentioned earlier, was a bit of a disappointment. Very evangelical. It set up well for Ted Cruz. He kind of underperformed a bit, but I'm sure he's optimistic heading into Super Tuesday. Is Donald Trump unstoppable? I don't believe he's unstoppable, but he's in the driver's seat, and the clock is ticking for any alternative to consolidate. If Donald Trump is to be stopped, there has to be further consolidation.
Is there pressure from the GOP establishment to get either Rubio or Cruz to say, okay, we're done?
I think there's going to be heavy pressure to consolidate, but a lot of the pressure is going to deal with John Kasich, who wants to stay in through Ohio on March 15th. He and Rubio are drawing from a similar base. Ted Cruz is in a little bit of a different lane. So, yes, the Republican establishment is going to push hard to narrow this field.
Hillary Clinton won handily in Nevada. It's got a very diverse electorate. That's very telling. Does this show that she has what it takes to make it to the general election?
Yes. I think Hillary Clinton is on the path to becoming the nominee on the Democratic side. Don't want to take anything away from Bernie Sanders. Powerful message. He's big crowds, defied the odds. However, I don't see a pathway for him getting the nomination. If you look at the superdelegates, if you look at the map, for example, Hillary Clinton's going to win big on Saturday in South Carolina. She's going to win big on Super Tuesday with those southern states. It's all proportional on the Democratic side. So Bernie Sanders can stay in for a while. He's got the money. He's got the message. However, does he have a pathway to getting the nomination? I don't think so.
Rick Mullaney, always a pleasure. Thank you. Appreciate you.